Hello everyone. Welcome to Module 5 in IM3, and hopefully you've had a chance to watch the real-world video that goes with the module. At the beginning of every module there is a real-world video to connect the concept to the real world, so you can put this into more realistic practice in the real world to understand how some of the examples work. So today we are beginning Module 5, which is the transformation of function graphs. So we are looking at transformation. So let's take a look at the word transformation. So to transform something is to make a change, which means that we are going to be making change to um, the equation or the graph rather by the way that the equation is changed. So we're going to be looking at change, and we're going to be changing the graph by either horizontally or vertically. So those are the transformations that we're going to be looking at. So by the end of this module, you'll be very familiar with and comfortable with using the word transformation. So let's take a look at the idea of translation in function graphs. So a translation is when you actually move the graph like up or down. You can shift it horizontally, which means to take a graph and shift it this way, so it's going to be here instead of over here. Or vertically, you can shift it up instead of or down. You can go right or left. Those are all translations. You can also, so these are the transformations. So one way to transform a graph is to shift it to the left, to the right, up or down. Another way is to also stretch the graph. So a stretched graph, if the original graph looks something like this, then a stretched graph is probably maybe something that looks taller. So to stretch something, or if you want to compress something, it actually looks flatter. So to make something, this is going to be a stretch, and this is a compression. So to compress is to make something flatter. And you can also reflect the graph across the x-axis. So to reflect something across the axis basically is to say that it's opening down instead of up. Or to reflect across the y-axis, in this case, you may not see the difference. It still looks the same. So those are all of the transformations, or some of them, that we're going to be using throughout this module. So we can take a look, and we're going to be exploring each one of them in detail. So let's take a look at the first type of transformation. And that's going to be done by adding a number to the back of the equation. So we're adding a k, a number, to the back of a function. So we are calling the new function g of x, which is obtained by the original, which is f of x. So we have f of x here in this graph, and it looks like right here, it forms the letter n. So if the original graph f of x looks like this, what happens if we add 4 to the back? So now we're going to be adding 4 to the back, which means we're taking the value of f of x, whatever that is, the y value, adding 4 to it. So we're going to take the y value, which is f of x right here. We're going to be adding 4. So let's do the math here. And it looks like the first one is done for you already. Negative 2 plus 4 equals 2. 2 plus 4 equals 6. If we continue this pattern, we got negative 2 plus 4, which is 2 again, and 2 plus 4 is 6. Now, if we try to draw these new points right here using the new x, which is the same as the old x, so x and y, so that's going to be negative 1, the new y, which is going to be 2. So negative 1, 2 is going to be right here. So we have the first point. Second point is 1, 6. So 1, 6 is going to be over here. The next point is 3, 2, which is right here. And the last point is 5, 6, which is right here. So if we actually follow the same shape of the original graph, then we can try to draw. This is going to be your transformed graph. So this is the original right here, and this is the transformation. So we've got the two new graph. And if you guys can take a look at the graph from the original, from the black, compared to the red one, what happened to the graph? Take a minute to think about that. So if you notice, the graph actually moved or shifted or translated upwards. So it actually moved. And how much does it move? It moved or shifted. So there's a shift 4 units up. So the graph moved 4 units up. And now we can kind of conclude that if you add 4 to the back of the equation, it causes it to go up 4 units. And so that's the transformation in this case. Let's take a look at another example. And this time, instead of adding 4, we're going to add -3 in the back. So here's again the original f of x function. We're going to subtract 3. So let's see what that do to the that would do to the equation. So -3, we're going to get -5. -3, we have 2 minus 3, -1. Again, -2 minus 3, which is -5. And 2 minus 3 is -1 again. So using the original x and the new y, we got -1, -5, which is right there. And 1, -1, which is here. And I think that's a typo. It should be 3, -5. And here it is. And finally, 5, -1. So here's 5, -1. Again, if we follow the same shape, which is this way, up and down, we would have the new graph right here. And if you look at it, there is a shift going down by 3 units, right? So from here, you're going down. So you can see that this is a shift of 3 units down. So that would be the transformation. So that would be the change that is applied to this original equation that causes the g of x. So now g of x is f of x shifted 3 units down. Okay? And let's take a look at the next one. This one is going to make a change to the x value. So x minus h. So if we let h equals 2, basically we have f of x minus 2. So this one, we're going to take a look at what it will do to the function. Instead of applying the change to the y when it was outside, this one is applied to the x value inside. So we're going to take the x value and we're going to basically subtract 2 to get the new value. So taking a look at the first one is done for you. 1 minus 2 gives us a -1. 3 minus 2 gives us a 1. So what minus 2 is going to give us 3? So that answer should be 5. 5 minus 2 gives us 3. And what minus 2 is going to give us 5? And the answer is 7. So 7 minus 2 gives us 5. And so if we graph the new x value with, which is this one right here, the new x, with the original y, okay, we're going to get the new set of data. So it's going to be 1, -2. So we got 1, -2, which is here. Then we got 3, 2. So 3, 2 is here. And then we got 5, -2. And 7, 2. Which is like right there. So we're going to follow the same pattern that we drew it, which is the letter N. And this is what the new graph look like. So take a look at this and tell me what you think. What does this -2 inside do to the entire graph? So if you actually look at it from the original, you actually shift it to the right 2 units. So now you know that x minus 2 inside is going to be a horizontal shift of 2 units to the right, and that would be the transformation. Okay, so minus 2 means to the right. So x minus h is actually h units to the right. Okay, so now you can guess that if there is such thing as a plus right here, x plus h, we can pretty much guess that it would go the opposite way. So we're going to actually go h units to the left if it was a plus. So minus means to the right and plus means to the left. And that would be your guess. So let's take a look at this discussion question. How would you expect the graph to be related when h is a negative number? When h is negative number, so x minus h is the original, but that's positive h. H negative means it's going to have a negative h here, which causes the graph to have a positive h. So like we said earlier, that if we have x plus h, it's going to cause it to go h units to the left. So that means the answer is going to be a translation, horizontal translation of h units left. And that would be the end of the lesson. So let's go ahead and take a look at the summary. Again, if we add a number to the back, it's going to be going up. If you subtract, it's going to go down. If you have a minus inside the parentheses, it's actually going to mean right. And a plus means left. So these two are like reverse thinking. So think opposite. And that's the transformation dealing with translations. These are moving up, down, left, or right. So, and that's the end of the lesson for today. And you can go ahead and get started with your assignment, which is going to be posted in the Google Classroom. So go ahead and get started with your assignment. Have a great day.